If you don't live under a rock, you know about Reddit. Reddit is a very, very strange, creepy, could be helpful place for a lot of people. And I'm going to be doing something a little different today on my channel, which is reading some scary, creepy Reddit stories with you guys. I recently came up with the idea when I thought, getting closer to October, a little spooky season, why not read some scary Reddit stories? Like, I know I like to watch these, so I thought, why not do one myself? 1, 2, 3 stories saved on my Reddit for you guys. This is my first time being on Reddit because I'm not on Reddit. And this is also my first time even reading the stories. I just got these from our True Scary Stories, and then I got them from r/no sleep. So if this is something you're interested in sticking around with me and experiencing this spooky, scary Reddit session with me, get yourself a snack, get comfortable, and get cozy because this is about to get creepy. The first story on our little agenda is posted by Promise I'm Not a Vampire, and the title is, I saw hooded figures in my old high school and nobody believes me. Stopping right there, I'm already a little creeped out. I don't know, I have my door closed, I have my closet door closed, but it's still a little creepy. I'm not the only one awake, so that's fine, but it's currently 12:49 a.m. For starters, I know this sounds insane and fake, and if you don't believe me, that's alright. But if you'd like to hear me out, please give your thoughts on what I could have possibly stumbled upon. I, a 21-year-old girl, and my 2 friends of the same age are always hanging out with each other when not busy with work and other responsibilities. We went to the same K-12 school together and met in 6th grade and have been inseparable ever since. Our school is one gigantic building pretty much in the middle of nowhere, and we live in a very rural county, so our towns are bare and there isn't much to see besides farms and drive-through coffee places. During the summer, the school is sat basically deserted, with nobody coming in and out other than in the mornings once in a blue moon to prepare for the upcoming school year in September. I'd see the occasional family set up on the elementary section of the school, taking advantage of the empty playground and letting their children use it while I drove past to get to my job. There'd sometimes be some people also taking advantage of our school's walking and running track, but it wasn't common. Other than that, this place was basically void of any activity. With us being graduated and into our young adult years, we obviously haven't been back to school for any reason. It was about 10:15-ish at night, and my friends Mason, Emily, and I were all sitting in Mason's car in a mostly empty gas station parking lot while we chowed down on some snacks purchased from there. It's not that important, but all 3 of us are goth, and it's a reason we are so close, and the reason why we enjoy creepier things in life. So when Mason suggested we drive around the back roads where all the deserted homes and cemeteries were, Emily and I happily agreed. Her and I love to point out the beautiful, neglected Victorian homes and what we do with them if we had any money. I only bring up that we enjoy the more unsettling things of life because none of us are super unsettled by peculiar, unexplainable things. Especially Mason. I see that boy watch horror movies without so much as a muscle moving in his face. He was nearly impossible to scare, as was Emily. It'd take more than the jump scare or creak in the floorboards to put them on edge. I myself have a large collection of taxidermy bones, teeth, creepy dolls, and other creepy, weird things of that nature. Pause right there. Girly, what are we doing? That's so scary. Like, honestly, those people that collect those type of things is honestly so scary. But yeah, I'm gonna save my thoughts for the end. Let's just get back into the story. I'm locked in right now. I'm kind of liking it. We spent about half an hour looking at homes and headstones on graves before finally getting back into the main road and heading back to Emily's apartment where we planned on sleeping over. It was Emily's suggestion that we stop at our old high school and creep around for old time's sake. So we did. Mason pulled into the empty parking lot and all of us got out and we made our way to the high school and middle school section to look around. We all told stories and reminisced about our time there there, really emphasizing how much we hated it, honestly. Emily and I went to the middle of the building where the cafeteria for the middle school and high school was and stared into the giant window. All we saw in the dark were stacked chairs and stables all stored in one corner. The only visible light was coming from appliances and other things left plugged in, along with a few small recessed lights in the ceiling. Mason had gone to the other side of the building to peek into the window of our old home room, which we thought nothing of since we live in a safe for the most part area. Amongst all the posters I saw on the walls of the cafeteria about nutrition and other things, something below them suddenly caught my attention. An intense dark crimson red color caught my attention in the low light when I realized the cloth was covering a human figure. It was impossible to tell if the person was a man or a woman from where we stood, but I knew it was a person wearing a dark red cloak, and they were just standing there, arms sticking straight out at their sides with their head aimed towards the floor. They had a hood over their head, so I saw no face. I was scared beepless, immediately feeling my stomach churn with dread and unease. I shook Emily's shoulder while I whispered to look. She was confused but went silent as she saw what I had been talking about. "What the F is that?" she whispered to me, not taking her eyes off the hooded person. Our horror and curiosity was interrupted and worsened when we suddenly heard Mason yelling for us, and his footsteps fast approaching as he ran along the side of the building to where we were. We couldn't tell what he was saying, but he stood up from where we crouched. Suddenly, Emily screamed, grabbing my arm so tightly I felt every one of her fingertips pinching my veins. The shriek that came out of her was like nothing I've heard before from anyone, just pure fear. She began dragging me away from the window, and it was only when I looked up as I was being pulled away that I realized the hooded figure was standing right behind the glass. They had their heads still tilted down, pushed against it, and I still could not see their face. I began to scream and scrambled to get myself upright and running. Like I said, we're all goth and for some reason insist on wearing black dresses that are far too long. So I'm tripping, I'm trying not to stumble over my dress and my platform boots while we sprint to Mason's car. Emily is in tears by the time we get there, and Mason peeled out of the parking lot so fast his tires spun and squealed on the pavement. We sped down the empty main road, still freaked out, repeatedly yelling, "What the F was that?" And after a few minutes of incoherent rambling, Mason finally gets out what he's been trying to tell us at the school. He explained he turned on the flashlight on his phone and angled it into the room he was looking at and saw 3 people lined up facing against the wall, also wearing long hooded red cloaks. I was feeling sick at this point and was honestly worried I was going to throw up. I told them that we need to call the police and tell them people might have broken in, but they pointed out how what we were doing was sketchy, not illegal, but you have to realize we are the only goth people in our town, full of people who live by God, guns, and the country. And we had serious doubts they believe us, let alone be on our side. My only guess was that there was some kind of cult or something, but what were they doing in a school? None of us got any sleep that night. I'm not sure how to summarize what happened. I told my family, but they think I'm just being dramatic and trying to scare my younger siblings. I was in near tears before my parents half-heartedly validated my concerns. I haven't gone back to my old high school since, and I never will. Guys, what do y'all think about that story? Honestly, I'm a little creeped out, not too much, but it's just like, what were these people doing in the school? If it was a cult, like what's going on? Why are y'all in the school of all places, either trying to do a ritual or something like that? I don't know, y'all. That's just a little creepy. That's just a little off-putting, because why are you in the school of all places? And why were they standing or against the wall? I don't know. I don't know nothing about that.
I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about that.
So yeah, let's get on to the next story. Okay, the next one was posted by Kylie. This is posted on True/Scary Stories. The title is Unsettling Grandma. How many of your grandmas can like potentially become like a horror story like character? You know, like are they a little scary or a little spooky? For me, my grandma, she's not scary at all. Like at least not to me. I've never encountered like any scary things with her. Hopefully we never will. But you know, as people get older, they kind of like do weird stuff, and I don't know if that's just like an old thing or if that's literally because they're getting closer to being unalive. So they're more like spiritual or something like that. I don't know. It's just a little creepy. Older people can be cute, but then there's also older people that can be very creepy in certain situations. But yeah, let's get into the story. It's not that long. Let's go. Hey, it's my first time writing anything like this, so bear with me. This happened around a year ago when I was 19 before December. I was chilling at my house when suddenly someone rang our doorbell. I went to answer it with my father. Before our door, a poor grandma around 80 years old stood there holding like 3 heavy bags full of groceries. She quickly spoke up as she asked if we have a car, which we replied we don't, and asked why she needed one. She said that she had a heart problem, did not take her medicine, and that she was feeling dizzy. I offered to call her an ambulance, but she said she did not want to annoy them and she has already asked a bunch of people who just laughed her off. I had some time before my boyfriend came from his work party, so I told her to wait a second that I would escort her home. I grabbed my coat, some shoes, and my nearly dead phone and went with her, only telling my father that I'm going out. Mind you, it was now around 8:30 p.m. She started telling me how she feels sick while I carried her heavy bags and told me that she lives at the bottom of a hill that we have here. So we walked together, but she stopped every few minutes to take a breath as she was around 80 years old. After like a half an hour, we got to the bottom of the hill, but suddenly she said she lives way more up. I thought, okay, but the hill was connected to a forest and the lighting was very poor. So on the left you only saw dark forest and on the right a few houses. As I dragged her bags up the hill, she kept on making stops every few seconds, and the more she made them, the more I started to feel paranoid. My phone was almost dead and some creepy noises were coming from the forest. After almost another half hour of listening to her stories about life, she started to make weird remarks. Every time I looked into the forest, she kept on telling me not to look since there is nothing there, only animals. Not weird, right? But she kept on saying something about her rich neighbor that wants to murder her and must not see us together or he would shoot us. The more we walked up the hill, the more sick I felt. Then we finally made a turn into a dark alley without any light as she slowly dragged herself against the railing. She forced me to duck my head and even turned off my light, telling me that the neighbor will murder me. The closer we got to her gate, the more ruiny and abandoned it looked. It was around 9:35 when we got to her gate that was chained up at the bottom. She did not allow me to use my light to release the chain, but I was so stressed out that I just did it my way anyway. The gate opened as I peeked into her overgrown garden full of trees, not even seeing a house. It was dark and she told me to go deeper in, but carefully as it had no path and tree branches were in the way. After a few meters, suddenly a large man with an unkempt beard and hair came out, greeting us and introducing himself as her son, as she started to lay down small candles near the trees to light up our way. I felt like throwing up as I started to fear for my life, feeling like I was walking into some sacrificial ritual. After the man excused himself to grab more candles, I just made an excuse to the grandma that my mom is calling me and quickly made my way towards the gate as she was telling me something, but I was nearly pooping my pants there. So I just banged the gate behind me and took off running, peeking behind myself every second as I was thinking that the man would be sprinting after me. After getting down the hill and into my house, it was already around 10 p.m. Her house is like a 20-minute walk from my house, but her stops every second made it longer. When I got home, I realized my father did not bother telling my mother I even went outside. So when I told her what happened, she freaked out as literally no one knew I went out for more than an hour. Not even my boyfriend, other than my father. The grandma was probably mentally ill, but dang, it was so darn creepy. It has been around a year since it happened, but the image of candles lighting up the overgrown garden and not seeing even a small building creeps me out. My boyfriend keeps telling me what I did was stupid, and yeah, it was. Creepy moment. Every time I tell it to anyone, they ask me if it really did happen. Y'all, I think they just saved themselves from potentially being sacrificed, because my thing is, if the grandma, which was 80 years old, and she had a son, why didn't the son just come and get her? Why didn't he come and get her from the store or help her out? Why did she go door to door asking for people? travel. That doesn't make sense to me. And that the OP said that they didn't see any house at all and it took them so long to get there. That's kind of weird. I think that was kind of sketchy. Honestly, I think they saved themselves from being sacrificed or something like that. That was kind of crazy. Let's get on to the next story. This last story that we're going to get into was uploaded by 𝙃𝙐𝙎𝙆𝙄𝙎𝙎, and this is on, again, True Scary Stories. This one is called My Horror Story as a Tow Truck Driver. Now, y'all, I know them tow truck drivers be seeing all types of things because they are always on the road, day, night, morning, dawn, like whatever time, they are always on the road. So I'm pretty sure many truck drivers have seen some like creepy things or some things that they could have gotten hurt or danger. So I honestly feel for the truck drivers out there. If you're a truck driver, I feel for you. You're doing a great job.
This one's for all my baby girls. I see your comments, ladies, and they make me smile. I'm lurking and I'm stalking when you least expect it.
You got this. Okay, let's get into this story. I was a registered tow truck operator for about 2 years. It was a great job, pay was good, lots of overtime, and on-call shifts. I got into the career because of shows I watched as a kid like Highway Through Hell. So when I got the chance to go into the field, I jumped on it. The first month was good. I learned a lot of experience and new skills. Part of our job as a roto, I'm just going to say roto instead of registered tow truck operator, was emergency call with police for crash scenes and impounds. So we saw a lot of tragic stuff, DUI fatalities, hit and runs, non-DUI fatalities, etc. The job can be very emotional and mentally draining and can stress you out if you're not careful. However, there's other kinds of aspects of the job not a lot of drivers talk about. The paranormal, odd or off-call stuff that unsettles you. Almost every tow truck driver has experienced it. It was a snowy, cold November night in 2023. We didn't get a lot of calls that day, so I was just chilling at the shop for my on-call shift. Then all of a sudden, I get a WISP Washington State Patrol call for a broken down Washington State Patrol car off this dirt road. I didn't think much of it at the time. It wasn't too weird for me since I had gotten a few calls like this before, so I hopped into my flatbed and drove up to the location of the call. The directions took me a good 30-ish minutes outside of the city to the mountains on I-90. By the time I get off the freeway, it was super foggy and it was very hard to see, so I took it slow and easy to be safe. I kept driving up to the now dirt mountain road, and I keep thinking to myself that this is a really odd road for a WSP to be on since they usually stay on interstates and state highways. But I just shrugged it off since he could have just been out there helping a sheriff or something more normal. I finally get to the location and just stop the truck and just sit there for a minute. What the hell? I think to myself. The WSP car was parked out on this mountain road with all its doors open, no lights on, with no officer in sight. It was so foggy I really could only see the car, but it was clear to me that no one was in sight. I very heavily contemplated just turning around and going back, but I eventually decided to hop out and inspect the car and look for the officer. As a tow truck driver, I always carried it with me, so I grabbed my AR with my sidearm holster and got out of the truck, not knowing what the hell I was about to walk into or see. I walked up to the car very cautiously and first checked out the driver's seat. Nothing was missing, all the equipment was still in its place. Then I walked around to the passenger side again. Same thing, nothing is missing nor moved. Then I go to look at the trunk where they usually keep the AR and shotguns, etc. I get to the trunk, but this time the AR and only the AR was missing. That's when I noticed that the forest was dead quiet, no wind, no nothing. I've seen a lot of messed up stuff, unalived bodies, the entire families unalived in one accident, etc. But I was completely unnerved and something inside me was telling me to get the heck out of there. But before I did anything, I called my dispatcher just to make sure I had the right location and information, and sure enough, everything was correct. At that point, I was ready to get the heck out of there as fast as possible. Right before I turned the truck around, I yelled out for the cop, but nothing but dead silence came back. Something was not right, I said to myself, and booked it out of there. The whole drive back, I had a sick feeling like I stumbled across something I absolutely was not supposed to see or be there. I keep thinking why the cop was all the way out there, why he left the car, and why all the doors were wide open, or if it was even a cop in the first place. More or less, why only the AR was missing when thousands of dollars worth of equipment was in the car. Once I got back to the shop, I called the police dispatcher that gave us the call. Since I knew her, I was hoping she could give me some answers. But no, she said the exact same thing that was said to me. The WSP car was broken down and just needed a tow. I never told my supervisor or anyone else out of fear that they wouldn't believe me. I mean, I wouldn't if I were them. I never heard anything about a missing cop, and there was nothing on the news, just nothing. It still creeps me out to this day thinking about it. Okay, y'all, so that one was a little hard to read for me. I don't know, I think just of how it was written, but overall, that was honestly creepy. I myself, I could not do jobs like that. I know myself, like, I'm not driving nowhere late at night. I'm not driving nowhere in some crazy type of place. Like, I'm not doing that. It's just not gonna work for me. But yeah, we read 3 stories today. I think we're going to cap it there. I did have 2 more, I believe, and these 2 were a little higher in upvotes, but we will most likely have to save those for the next video. So if you guys want a part 2 or like a continuation, and you guys have some Reddit stories that you think I should read, send them to me on Instagram right here, and I will read them for you guys, and we can start a little, you know, series compilation of this. This was honestly really cool to film, and this is my first time doing something like this on my channel. Let me know if you guys like the little background that I just did today. I think it's so cute. I have like little pictures in the middle, some little green curtains, some leaves, the lights. Let me know if you guys like that little background. It took me like an hour to set up, and it was so cute. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you have any comments or anything that you would like to share about these stories, and if they were actually creepy or scary to you, let me know down below. Also, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel so you can have more content like this. Y'all will be getting fed constantly because I am trying to be very consistent for you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.